Hi, everybody. A fan of South Plains politics? Here are your talking points for this week. Representative Jody Arrington leading the Texas Republican delegation in their declaration of a commitment to the border for this next legislative session, and a call to action telling the Biden administration don't mess with Texas. And State Rep Dustin Burrows in Lubbock to talk Uvalde, specifically the investigation he spearheaded and what our local schools can learn from the tragedy.
From the studios of KAMC Television in Lubbock, your local election headquarters. This is Talking Points.
Well, welcome to Talking Points. I'm Jen Phillips. Today we start with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who just comes off re-election for his third term as Lieutenant Governor. We get 4 more years of him leading the Texas Senate as one of the most powerful positions in the state, one of the most powerful legislators. Thank you, Mr. Patrick, for being here. And you reached out to us actually to talk with us about some priorities that you have that you said actually result from a tour on a bus that you did during your campaign.
Yeah, Jen, thank you for having me. We did about 130 cities in 17 days on my double-decker bus that burned expensive Joe Biden diesel gasoline, and we made several stops in Lubbock and surrounding areas across the state. And Jen, I know time is short, so I'll go through a couple of these issues quickly, and then we can talk broader issues. But as I traveled across rural Texas and sat down with sheriffs and county judges and local officials and citizens, there were several things that were clear that we needed to do in rural Texas. And rural Texas, loosely defined, is about 230 some counties of our 254. And the two issues that really came home to me is law enforcement needs help, the sheriffs, the counties need help funding them, and we need more mental health care in rural Texas. And Jen, the history has been that it's up to the counties to fund the sheriff, which runs the jail, as well as the deputies out on the street. And it's clear to me when I meet sheriffs who are making somewhere between 32 and 40,000 a year, and deputies making in the 20s or low 30s, that the counties just can't bolster this on their own shoulders any longer. And part of this, Jen, is because a number of people that are arrested and put in jail have mental health care issues. There's really no place for them to go, so the counties end up having them there longer than they would, and that costs them money each day. And it's clear that all 254 Texas counties are impacted by Joe Biden's unsecure border. 2 million people crossing every year. And a lot of people are coming through every county in Texas, and they break into cars, they break into businesses, they break into homes, they commit crimes. Or the sheriffs and their deputies are pulling someone over on one of the major roads that goes through their small county for a drug bust, or with illegal immigrants in the back of the truck. So for the first time ever, Jen, I'm proposing that we spend, and I don't know what the final number will be, but I think it may depend on the county size and the county budgets, but we're going to have to spend some significant money from the state to the counties to help them in this area. The second thing, Jen, connected to that are mental care hospitals for civil patients, that's regular folks, or forensic, and these are people we arrest with mental health care issues. Right now, we just don't have enough for a state of 29 million people. And I put more money into mental health care facilities than any lieutenant governor in history, but we need more. We built out about 5, either brand new, remodeled, or added beds to current ones. So I'm proposing that we build a mental care health facility in the Panhandle, Central Texas, more beds in Wichita, the Terrell unit, down in the valley, and more will come along. And that's going to be a $2 to $2.5 billion investment in mental health care facilities for rural Texas, but we need to do it. And Charles Perry, who's your great senator from the Lubbock area and covers 40-some counties in Central and West Texas, he also is a proponent, which I agree with, of buying beds in hospitals so that the state can come in and pay for beds. If we're not building a full hospital, we can add beds that way as well. So we're gonna help the counties with their budgets on law enforcement, and we're going to build more mental health care facilities out in our rural areas. And for all of our counties, we're going to continue to focus on property tax relief because we always want to reduce property tax as much as we can. I've increased the homestead exemption from 15 to 40,000 as lieutenant governor. I want to take it to 60 or 65 this session.
Yes, I love that you bring up Mr. Perry, because just a few months ago we had him on this very show to
Yes.
talk about mental health, especially in rural West Texas. You know, we like to think of Lubbock as the big city out here, but there's a lot more people and a lot broader area that we cover, even as a news station.
Sure.
So rural healthcare in general is something that it not only suffers, but people are throwing dollars at it, and they're trying to do their best. What kind of priorities can you speak to in this next session for all of rural healthcare?
Yeah. And by the way, a big partner in this will be telehealth medicine and Texas Tech. Chancellor Mitchell over there, who I first met many years ago when he was running the medical school, they do a great job. They're one of the best in the country, as a matter of fact. We need more telemedicine, even for mental health care. And the other thing we have to do, Jen, is put more money into scholarships for nurses. Right now, we have 2,500 beds for mental health care in the state beds, but 1,000 of them are offline because we don't have the nurses for 600 of those beds. You can get a patient there, but someone has to staff them. So as Lieutenant Governor, I created a scholarship that's still in existence. Anyone who's interested in finding out about it can call my office or call the Texas Higher Ed Coordinating Board. But right now, I passed legislation that will fund your scholarship if you become a math or science teacher, for example, because we don't have enough of them, to fund people who will go into law enforcement. There's some parameters on that, that they have to meet certain criteria, but we want more people in those professions. Well, I want to do that for nurses. We do it for doctors. We pay for doctors' education for the most part in Texas, and I want to do it for nurses. But to have more nurses, then we need more nurse teachers, and to have more nurse teachers, we're going to have to pay them more to give up their profession to become a teacher. So it's all together, but it's just so obvious to me of where the need is, and I always knew it. And our senators are great representing rural Texas. But when you get out there and spend all the time that I spent, breakfast and lunch and dinners and going to businesses and meeting with people, again, almost 130 cities and more than that when you count my total campaign. I just learned I met so many great people. I ate great food. I saw great things like the train and the Windmill Museum in Lubbock, for example, and which was fascinating to me. So I saw so much and learned so much. And rural Texas, look, it's the backbone of Texas, and we have to take care of rural Texas like we take care of every county. The one issue, Jen, real quickly, and I know time is short.
Sure.
With all of those issues, and there are many issues we have to focus on. The biggest one is we have to have more natural gas power to the grid. We just don't have enough dispatchable gas, and windmills are fine, and solar's fine. But if the wind's not blowing and it's dark, well, we don't have enough power, dispatchable, natural gas, hydroelectric, hydrogen, coal, or nuclear. We don't have enough of those resources to be sure we turn on the lights, they come on. And we made a lot of strides last session with Senate Bill 2 and 3, and that's how we got through a very hot and rough summer last year, particularly in August. But we need more dispatchable power, and that has to be done.
Yes, thank you so much for your time today, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Jen. Merry Christmas to everyone, and a prosperous and blessed New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, still to come, epic disaster. Those are the words Representative Joey Arrington uses to describe the situation at the border, what he and the rest of the Texas Republicans in the U.S. House vowed to do about it this week.